Now, the next thing I want to talk about is flashing the KK2 board. Okay, so sounds pretty complicated, and it really is. If you have a regular PC or a Mac, or I'll just go ahead and separate it. Windows 8, totally different. It may require for you to download additional software to make it compatible with your computer, and I say the driver and the actual flash tool itself. And then there's the hardware, which is the actual tool, which I have right here, which I actually made my own tool. Where did that little guy go? Oh, looks like I misplaced it. Anyways, you can buy one offline. I don't suggest making one because it was really hard to make my own, and I probably should have just bought one. But I definitely recommend updating your software. And I know people are like, well, you could just fly off the board that you have. Trust me, it's so much better. When you update the software, it's gonna fly way more. It's gonna be much more smooth. It's gonna have all different kinds of other things that you can do with it, gimbal systems and everything else. So really look into flashing your board. Don't just leave it with the regular 2.1 that you get off eBay. If you don't know what version of software you have, when you plug in your battery, it'll tell you immediately. And also you can toggle down to the bottom and find out what firmware that you are software is uploaded into the KK2 board and what version it is. Okay, so flashing tool, buy your own. Okay, if you have Windows 8, always get the latest software. Got it. All right. P and I gains. Okay, so P and I gains. When in doubt, dumb them down enough, okay, to learn how to fly and not only crash. So what I'm saying is, if you have high P&I settings compared to what they're showing you online, alright, you need to dumb them down a lot. The RC Explorer video that they have on there for Tricopters for the 1.9 version, it is phenomenal. It'll get you really close, if not there, with your Tricopter. So look for the same size weight of the aircraft and try to match it the best you can. If you're running a 3S setup, like a 3-cell setup, then make sure you follow that. If you're running a 4-cell setup, make sure you try to follow that. And use those settings because they're actually really decent settings. And they're even good for beginners. So make sure you, when in doubt, just dumb them down a lot. Like if you start off, if you look at your KK2 board and you're doing your settings, just put it down to like 20, 15, 10. It'd be really sluggish, but you'll be able to tune it up to the level that you need to get it to. Alright, and I'm going to talk more about P&I here in a minute. Okay, so high P gain will make it bounce around in the air and oscillate. What I mean is it's going to be very sporadic. So the amount of throttle that you give it, it's going to be bouncing up and down pretty much. It's going to be all over, kind of haywire like. Alright, so too high and too low will make it difficult to get it back to level. Alright, but once again, I would rather have a sluggish aircraft than one that's just going to want to do a flip immediately. Okay, so when in doubt, dumb it down. A high I gain will make it jittery and out of sync. That may make you think that the ESCs are not in time, like everything's not lining up. I didn't calibrate my accelerometer right. I didn't boot my board correct. I didn't do all the steps that I was supposed to do. It may just be your eye is too high. If your eye settings are too low, it'll make it washy and not so responsive in its movements, which I'd rather have it like that, once again, than have it completely and totally sporadic where one side's jerking and the back one's and it's just doing this crazy thing in the air, and that'll cause a crash really fast, especially when you're inexperienced. Okay, so fact 1. Increasing the eye gain will make the movements crisp. Okay? Fact 2. Increasing the P gain will make the movements bounce around and lose its stability. Fact number 3. Decreasing the eye gain will make the movements washier and smoother. It'll come back smoother and transition smoother. And number four, fact number four, decreasing the P gain will make movements so washy that you will constantly be hunting to keep the aircraft level. So decreasing the P gain is going to be a constant battle to keep it hovering. Alright, and vibrations. That's the last thing I want to talk about. Where do they come from? Vibrations can come from, well, I'll show you. Vibrations can come from everything from your bullet connector, inside here not having the proper adapter to slide over top of your bullet connector over top of your motor. The actual bell itself being out of whack because your prop shaft actually being bent, okay, it's coming out of the bell, that it's going to make it jitter on its own, just automatically. So if you've crashed before and it seems like that side's a little bit more jittery, check your zip ties or your mount and make sure that it's mounted correctly, and if it's still doing it, it may be a bent prop shaft, so make sure you check for that. Another thing that it could be, just going right down the line, it could be the mounting system that you have for the Tricopter. So in my case, I have a bolt here. If that bolt comes loose, then it's going to make this whole arm jiggle, and if that whole arm jiggles, well, then I have vibrations, and that's going to cause a really bad video. Another thing that'll cause a really bad video, or just really bad flight, is almost everything in the yaw mechanism down here. Alright, if you're wondering what I did with my yaw mechanism, I bought the rcexplorer.se yaw mechanism, and I actually mounted this. I have a Turnigy, let's see, what's the name of that guy? Right, it is a really hard to find the name of this one. Alright, well, it's a Turnigy coreless digital servo that I got online from Hobby King, but then I also bought myself a metal, an actual metal servo arm, and I cut off the top of it, and I mounted the metal servo arm to the plastic yaw mechanism. And why did I do that? The reason why I did that is because I am extremely sick and tired of having vibrations and the yaw mechanism. So make sure that everything that you mount, motor, the actual underneath the yaw mechanism here, make sure that everything has vibration dampening material. If it doesn't, it's going to make this thing jitter around, and when you fly it, you'll be able to see it. This will move back and forth. That means you have vibrations. And that's also going to mean that you lose efficiency, like horribly. You're going to some extent, like really, it could be so bad that you won't even be able to fly at all. It won't even actually take off up off the ground. Or it's actually so dangerous that it can vibrate the motor off and then cut into all this stuff here, or smash the prop off and possibly a piece flick up and hit you. I've seen my Tricopter do all these crazy wild things just from, I think it's just like a nick on the ground and I didn't check it thoroughly, and a zip tie would break, but I wouldn't notice it because it would be like underneath here, and I would try to take off again and it would just spin right off and then start smacking into my leg, and it's a mess. So make sure that you check absolutely everything every time you hit the ground hard. Yeah, so make sure you check that out. Another thing that that can cause it is just bad wiring. Okay, so if you solder all your own stuff, make sure that you have a really good bead in there. Make sure everything's real smooth, connected real good, and if not, it's going to cause a lot of issues. And I'm going to go to a vibration video. I'm going to show you a video right now that that actually, for some reason, it had really bad vibrations earlier, and it was only because the motor wasn't mounted correctly. so in the video, as you can see, it's vibrating like crazy. It looks jello-y. It looks completely and totally out of control. And then when I made corrections and I tightened everything up here, I put some CA glue on my nuts and make sure everything was real tight, real good. Not so tight that it won't move, but tight enough that it took all the vibrations out. I actually, I had no issues. And here's another video. That's all that I really want to cover today. So if you guys have any questions, put the comments below, or you can write. I have my contact information in YouTube here. So if you need to get a hold of me and ask me a question about it, then I'll be more than happy to help. Thanks for visiting, and have a good day.